Hello and welcome to the Intentional Brief, your weekly video update on the one big thing in cybersecurity news for middle market companies, their investors, and management teams. I'm your host, Shay Colson, managing partner at Intentional Cybersecurity, and you can find us online at intentionalcyber.com. Today is Monday, April 20th, 2026, and for posterity, for those future watchers, the war in Iran continues this week, despite both a deal and a blockade, and maybe now not a deal, but definitely still a blockade. It is complicated. We're going to pick up with some other news from the federal government this week that has some more direct bearing on our ability to secure our infrastructure, and that is an announcement made by NIST last week, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, that said that they are changing the way they handle security vulnerabilities, in short, because they get too many. And so what this means is they're taking their cybersecurity vulnerabilities and exposures, CVEs, and deciding that they can only enrich or add details to a few subsets of these due simply to the volume. So those that are going to continue to get enrichment are those that appear in CISA's known exploited vulnerabilities catalog, the KEV list, those that are for software used within the federal government, or those that are for critical software as defined in Executive Order 14028. So in short, they're going to look out for the things that impact them, and maybe if you're also impacted, you can benefit, but otherwise, essentially, you're on your own. Now, to be fair to NIST, the volume is increasing in a significant way. They report in their post that it is up 263% between 2020 and 2025, which, 263% is a lot, but also that's a lot of evolution in the tech space. And, it's only 2.6x in 5 years. That's not tremendous. That's not exponential. They do say that submissions during Q1 of 2026 are up 1/3 compared to 2025, but again, higher, but not unheard of. And the reason that we're talking about this now is that these increased cadences, these increased paces, while they're driving NIST to have to do less, the pace has not yet gone bananas, right? We've talked in the last couple of weeks around what Mythos might mean, or what ChatGPT security functions on 5.4, Codex 5.4 might mean. So that's not even in the mix yet, and we're already overwhelmed. Security professionals and NIST themselves in their post are already warning that this means, quote, stuff will get missed, unquote. Some security teams I know have already moved beyond using CVEs as a way to triage their own environments. But for those of you who use them to determine criticality, or for whom criticality is a part of your effort prioritization, doing that without CVEs is going to be a lot harder. I think one of the great challenges that remains in general in this space is prioritization, and we're seeing threat modeling leaders already advocating that you pick up the advice that sounds a lot like the kind of classic assume breach approach for building layers of security, but now assuming that that breach extends all the way down to the binaries that you use within your environment. All of this, again, comes on the back of and in the context of funding limbo for CISA and the entire NVD program more broadly, which, as we reported on about a year ago, was set to be cut entirely. Now it's only set to be cut to the bone, where the latest proposed budget from last week represented an additional $707 million in cuts for CISA. So where does this leave you? Well, less well-resourced for sure, but I think the takeaway is that the time to build basic security capabilities into your environment, think segmentation, least privilege, role-based access control, rapid patching capabilities, etc., is now. It is never going to be easier or cheaper to build these functions. And even as AI continues to create, I think, long levers for security teams, the complexity of the modern environment will still leave defenders playing from their back foot, because attackers will be able to build those same long levers themselves, but without any of the corporate constraints that we face. From a fundraising perspective, we have another strong week, including more than $20 billion in newly committed capital, led by Accel, who raised $4 billion for their 5th late-stage fund, plus $650 additional million for a sidecar fund. And it does now look like we'll likely cross that $100 billion mark in terms of new capital just for April, just for this month, when we report the numbers next week. And you can see the themes become evident even in this week's announcement from Accel, which focuses on late-stage companies and the sidecar fund, allowing these investments to operate privately for longer. Perhaps the best way to weather this macro storm is now to just continue on. A reminder that you can find links to all the articles we talked about in the comment section below. You can find back issues and written transcripts of these videos at intentionalcyber.com, and we will see you next week for another edition of the Intentional Brief.